Good afternoon. We're going to talk about some exciting blockchain and medical integration news today. Half a year ago, I talked with Pradeep Goel. He's the CEO from Solve.care. Hi, hi Pradeep. Where are you now?
Hello, Vincent. I am in the Kiev office of SOLVE.care.
But normally you're always in Florida. Okay, so COVID happened, and you're there with the tech team. But
Yes.
you're normally based in Florida, and your clients are normal American medical institutions and patients. And we'll go over that. We're going to cover three things today. Half a year ago, I basically talked to you about a telecom medical exchange, and you announced that, and it's going to go live soon. So I'm going to talk that. Then, because of COVID, you made a new product because everybody had to work at home and doctors had to work at home, and you made a team solution for that. And you're going to start a blockchain financing solutions to basically with the first decentralized autonomous organization. We've heard that word many times, but you're going to make a practical part of it. So that's good enough to talk about it. So before we talk about those three subjects, how is Solve doing in this COVID period?
Well, first, thank you for having me again, Vincent. And it has been a few months since we talked, and it's good to see you again. And all the viewers, thank you for having me. In terms of SolveCare, we have done very well this year. It has been a challenging year. It was not a year where you can just say it was business as usual. There was a lot of pivoting we had to do early on, but I think we pivoted early enough and soon enough before most others to ride this year with positive outcomes. It could have been a much more difficult year than it turned out to be for us.
I can imagine. And I mean, and you had about, last time I talked, you had 100 people. How many people are there now?
It's not exactly, approximately the same, probably a 5-10 more. I don't have the exact count, but just north of 100.
Yeah, and you're still around. I mean, all the blockchain companies have disappeared. You're doing practical work. And in 2019, when we were talking also, you were going to you were going to raise some money. How did that go?
So that we stopped that process in February when COVID hit and basically all travel froze. And we also felt that this is a year to button down and stay very focused. So I basically jettisoned every project that I didn't think was the right project in the new reality.
Okay.
And all my focus on the three things you talked about. We focused on launching the global telehealth exchange. We focused on launching a team care product, which is really helpful for at-risk employees and remote work employees. And we built those networks to be interoperable so you can hop from one to the other, which I'm really proud of. And then we really found an opportunity driven by real need in the market to sponsor a decentralized solution for financing for healthcare products and services. Okay. So those things are big enough to really focus on this year.
Okay, some basics for people. You say healthcare on the blockchain. You use blockchain and you use your own currency to basically do payments between doctors and patients, and you help systems to make it much smoother to make appointments and to get medical information flowing. And you have real customers using this stuff at the moment. There's a wallet. There's a payment mechanism, and that's actually at the moment that's your primary business, right? That's the original idea.
That is still the same idea. We haven't wavered at all in terms of our original plan and current execution.
Yeah. Okay. And there's 100 people working in Ukraine. You make most of the technical stuff, and your clients are mostly in the US, or do you also have customers now abroad?
So customers are now starting to be more diversified. Now, originally, the first 18 months of our life, we were really US-based, client-based, right? We were always based in Estonia, Ukraine, Singapore, but the client base was primarily US. Now we are seeing a much more diversified client base. The Middle East is starting to become really important to us from a client perspective. Asia is definitely now even bigger opportunity and bigger pipeline. But US remains a key player, right? It's always going to be in the top 3 markets for us. But we are now much more diversified. One thing I will say, Vincent, since we last talked, we have opened an office in Chennai in India, our first Asia presence. So we can serve our clients in Asia time-wise in support and DevOps. We also have some developers there. So we have a team of about 20 plus people, maybe 25, maybe the exact.
What about Western Europe? Do you already have an office there, or is that still in the works?
So we have 3 people in UK, which is not exactly Europe in the technical sense, but we have our chief financial officer and our chief technology officer, and as well as our product manager there, and we are expanding that.
Okay.
In the heartland of Europe, outside of Ukraine, we have Tallinn, Estonia, where we have our chief compliance officer, and we are growing that team out in Tallinn. So it is starting to spread, but I've been very cautious. I wanted to make sure that 2020 we are operating well within our means.
Okay. So then last time we talked about this global telehealth exchange. What was the idea about that?
So this is, to me, what we really set out to do at the beginning of the company's, the first day I had said, we really need to make healthcare more democratic. We need to make healthcare more accessible. So I had 3 statements I've always made for the last 3 years, really for the last 30, but last 3 years of SolveCare. We need to improve access, we need to improve outcomes, and we need to improve the efficiency of the process of getting healthcare. And it doesn't matter if you live in the US or Uganda, those are the same 3 objectives at human level we need to achieve. And Global Telehealth Exchange, to me, brings together all these mission statements into one network. So if you remember, if the audience remembers, SolveCare launches care networks. Care networks can be anything. They can be about teleconsultation or insurance benefits or diabetes management or poor aged and blind management. Doesn't matter. Networks can have a purpose and they serve a specific population. Global Telehealth Exchange is the first true global network, which is why we put the word global in there, not as a hyperbole, but because it truly is no longer defined by a certain population, but by the whole humanity. And the idea is very simple, but very fundamentally different. A doctor, any doctor on the planet, can register on the Global Telehealth Exchange and create a digital avatar. That digital avatar allows them to interact with any patient on the planet without the doctor having to be live and doing any kind of administrative work. That's what we call the Global Telehealth ID. And when they configure that avatar, it can respond to things like, are you available? Will you accept referral? Do you take my insurance company? What's your rate? When can I see you? Here is my symptoms. Can you consult with me? And on and on and on. So the idea is that the doctor can do practice like they have always dreamt of doing, but they can never do it so far. And my vision is to our vision as a company is to allow the physician to practice medicine as they want, when they want, and with whom they want.
So this is really a it is a big idea. It's so big that I wonder, okay, will it work? But you announced it 6 months ago. When will it go live?
So it goes live in first week of December. We already have physicians from 20 plus countries signed up.
Okay.
India, Turkey, Nigeria, US, Canada. We have physicians saying this makes sense to me. I want this ability to practice medicine. But that's just starting. We are also seeing a very strong interest from physician groups. So they'll think of it as 3 ways. We originally targeted individual physician who has a license to practice medicine, maybe is employed by a hospital, maybe has a small clinic that they run their business on, doesn't matter. If you are an individual practitioner of clinical services, you could sign up for GTHE. Then the second thing we heard is from physician groups saying, I want to sign up all my doctors. Then we got into large health systems saying, I want to sign up my nurses, radiologists, and so on. So we are stepping forward from individual to group to institutional, but my focus is on the individual doctor. I want to empower a physician to practice medicine in a way that they want, efficiently, effectively, and on their own terms, and still make themselves available. So this is having a resonance with the physicians. We were a little bit late in launching. I had originally planned to launch in October. Then we started to feel like we needed to do a bit more work on the regulatory and the legal side. So end of the day, we will launch in December.
Yeah, but you stay away. People pay. You pay for the doctor as a patient. You stay away from the insurances. So this is really a point-to-point, and you can send medical information, share, find them, verify them, and you help. If a doctor is on your network, you verify them, so you're the source. Okay, so that is the first. That is the first thing. We'll see how it goes in December 1st. Then some of the same technology you've used to do the teams right, the team things. So to use it inside an organization, team.care. Is that the same technology, or how does that work?
Yeah, always the platform underlying all care networks is the same. Networks can look very, very different, but they are powered by the same SOLVE.CARE blockchain and Care Ledger and Care Wallet and Solve Token. Team Care was designed in response to the fact that our workforce has moved dramatically, remotely, and rather quickly, as well as there are certain new risks that evolved, not just health risks, but mental and infrastructure and oversight and governance risks that arise when people are suddenly pushed to work remotely. We built it first for ourselves and launched it for our team. Then we found that physicians and clinics and hospitals are really keen on a similar solution for their frontline staff, which is obviously at risk in this delivery model that we have today. As well as we found that there was a huge revenue loss there that the clinical organizations are suffering from, cancellations and staffing and so on. So Team Care quickly evolved into a remote workforce management network. We first successfully launched it for a pediatric clinic of a very reputable clinic in Florida, which uses it to manage all their physicians and nurses. And then from there on, we leapfrogged into facilities, even resorts and hotels and hospitality, which has tens of thousands of workers. We are dealing with meat packing plants. We're dealing with large call centers. So Team Care has taken off as a workforce management tool on the same platform.
This sounds like a very useful thing for COVID. So it is both for the doctors and both for the employees. You basically provide it as an employee benefit. You can basically take care of contact with doctors, and it can be integrated with the healthcare system you're having. So this is very local, point to point, and it's being used. Is it being used in America or in other countries, or is it more companies who use it worldwide? How does it work?
Yeah, so we are directly selling in America using our own workforce. That's where it is deployed today. And then we have just signed a distributor agreement with a large organization to distribute the product in Asia. And once we get their permission, we will announce their name, but certainly a name that has access to a lot of employers with large employee bases.
Yeah. So, we have two questions from the audience. Why healthcare on the blockchain? How do you use the blockchain as a tool?
So two simple answers. One is about the question is actually quite involved, so I won't give you a long, boring answer, but what I'll say is two things. One is that on blockchain, you can properly balance the rights to privacy and control of the patient to the need to coordinate the patient with a team of care providers, right? Yeah. You have this balance, a yin and the yang. I need to have a team around me to take care of me because healthcare is not a solo sport. I need a doctor, a specialist, a nurse, a ambulance driver, and whatever my health team looks like. And I'm going to need that episode of a chronic care, whatever my problem might be. But I also need to protect and control my healthcare. I cannot be a passive recipient who something is done to. I need to be part of the process. And that balance is incredibly difficult to achieve in any traditional sense, in any traditional database-driven model. What we did is with blockchain, we found a way to balance the sovereignty and the identity and the privacy and the rights of a patient with the need to coordinate care events with a team. And that balance is the sort of the secret sauce of why healthcare on blockchain is a better approach than anything else that I did for the last 27 years before starting SOLVE.CARE. The second reason to think about blockchain as a very powerful tool for healthcare is very simple. When you have benefit administration, which is a very much a process-driven problem, you have clinical care, which is an evidence-driven problem of finding out what care I need. And then you have payment systems, which are underlying both of those. You got to coordinate all these things, and they're today coordinated on multiple systems. And there is a tremendous amount of distrust and friction between parties, doctor, patient, doctor, insurance company, and so on. What we did is we used blockchain as a coordination ledger, where we allow all the participants in a care episode or lifetime care of a patient to have access to the right events in real time and have all those events be auditable. Blockchain is immutable, right? So the idea is that events, when they occur, become part of this immutable audit.
So I can be, because you're using blockchain and every action is put on the blockchain, I can be sure that my data is not shared with somebody else, that my data is not deleted, and that the processes are more or less reliable because every step of the way is being is being put on the blockchain. Okay.
Beautifully said.
A little bit of question of the next question is, why should I trust a private company who built this network on a blockchain? I mean, if you're not trustable, you can make a very unreliable blockchain solution, which is completely true. It is not interesting. On the other hand, we have Yuri. He says, "Hey, compliments," and he asks something else. Is it quantum? That's the next step. But I mean, why should I trust you? Asked Willeke.
Well, you don't need to trust us. Everything is published, right? So in our world, the care protocol that underlines every care network is public. So you don't need to trust me, because then you shouldn't. The whole idea is that as an insurance CIO, nobody did trust me. And the idea of a blockchain-based system is that instead of trust, you can verify. So quote our former president, trust but verify. The idea of a blockchain as a care ledger is nobody trusts anybody. The insurance company doesn't trust the doctor, doesn't trust the patient, doesn't trust the hospital, and so on. But the care protocol being in the chain is a contract that can be verified by you or by your auditors or by the insurance commissioner or the inspector general or whoever. So it's all public. Yep. What we are saying is that this protocol is publicly available on the chain. You can verify the protocol's efficacy against actual events, but we will not expose the identity of the event target or event originator. So you can protect the identity of the patient, but you can still verify that things are happening the way they should. So SolveCare is not holding the keys to anything. We are the platform on which this is empowered, but nobody trusts us, nor should you.
Okay, these are the basics. Okay, so that's the team thing. And so we have the global exchange, the medical claims for global putting doctors together, then a more pointed solution for the team. And then the third one you're introducing today. And it's a financing solution. What is the deal? What are you introducing?
So what we found when we are launching new care networks all the time, be it in Asia or in the US, that there is always this question of, do you have any financing solutions? So let me give you a simple reason why we went down the path of allowing for community-based financing of healthcare products and services. So we are launching a care network for remote patient monitoring next year, which is based on the ability for a physician to say, look, Pradeep, you have diabetes. I want you to be under continuous care monitoring regimen by a nurse. And I want you to take your blood sugar levels 3 times a day. I want you to report your weight and body mass index and heart rate and so on, twice a week, because we need to monitor your care because you're at risk patient. So I qualify for remote patient monitoring. In that model, I need probably 5 devices: a oximeter, a glucose meter. I need a heart blood pressure device, and so on and so forth. What the physician wants me to do is to put me under the care of a nurse and have me pay, or the insurance company pay, $25 a month and have all these devices financed by somebody. The doctor doesn't want to pay for it. The patient doesn't want to pay for it. In this scenario, we need a financing vehicle. So we went to the traditional banks and we said, we'd like to issue 1 million devices next year. That was roughly the demand from the physician groups. And can you finance it? And they said, well, who's going to underwrite this? And it became this classic example of, you can't ship the device outside the US. If I have to finance a device, it should stay in the US, but the patient is somewhere else. So it is what we realized very quickly is that there is no global financing vehicle for global healthcare, right? So we're launching Global Telehealth Exchange, but we can't finance global telehealth exchange services without creating a solution that is not geographically constrained to each country. Okay. So we were looking at a solution like the decentralized finance community, and we said, wouldn't you want to earn interest or income exceeding normal income you can get in the market by bank or investments, by investing in these specialized healthcare products and services that are fully tracked and traced on the blockchain, which are fully auditable, and you can finance this, whether you finance a device or you finance a surgery or you finance a very detailed care regimen, whatever it is, the products. You could even finance the building of a new hospital, for that matter, or building community centers for care delivery or remote testing labs. But let's keep it simple. Let's start by financing devices for consumers that are underwritten by doctors worldwide. So can we do that? And then we realized that this model of financing could apply to all kinds of healthcare issues. We could finance all kinds of small and big things like CT scan for a rural hospital that can't afford an MRI machine on their own, but if we can finance it, they're happy to pay a 10-year lease on it, for example. So those kind of things we realize are begging for a solution. And yeah, the G7 might have some solutions in place from the large financial organizations, but you step below that, there aren't any options, very many options available. So we
Okay, so
built a model for this financing.
so you help me to finance these kind of things. Who are the people who put in the money, and who basically decides if the deal is this first thing? Who puts in the money, and secondly, who decides what deal we're going to finance and what not, and what is the role of it? It's supposed to be an autonomous, distributed autonomous organization. How does that work?
Yeah, so it's actually it's designed to be fully community owned, community governed, community contributed, and community managed. So the notion is no central authority is holding all the keys. So we designed a DAO, as it's called, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which is community governed. And the way the governance works is it's done through voting. And voting is very simple. If you have a governance token, you have one vote. So if you, the goal is to get the Solve token holders, which are tens of thousands around the world, to use their Solve token to essentially become governors or citizens of this DAO, so that they're the ones who approve any and all asset pool proposals. So if Pradeep shows up in a week from now and says, listen, I would like to buy 1 million blood pressure devices for people in India, I would make a proposal to the community, and the community would vote it up or vote it down.
Yeah. Hello.
Sorry, Vincent, you disappeared for the last 7-8 seconds.
Okay, just continue. Yeah.
So the point was that the point of this DAO is that it is a financing framework which can be used to finance any project, small or big. The project proposals are made by a proposer, a distributor, whose job is to present to the community a financing need. That financing need is what is called a proposal.
Yeah.
That distributed proposal, community looks at and evaluates against using a contract that validates the efficiency and the compliance of this proposal against standard rules. And if the community says, yep, we are willing to vote on this proposal up, then the asset pool is automatically generated. And then anybody in the world, you don't need to own anything to contribute to that, but you will have well-defined terms of contribution. You will know what you're contributing into, what is your collateral, what is your risk profile, and so on and so forth. And here is your interest rate, here's your payment schedule, here is a distributor, here is what they're going to use the money for, and here is my tracker, the Oracle, which tracks whether the money is being used properly. So this is a fully transparent model to financing healthcare solutions. One could argue that you could do it for anything. Yes, you could, but we are a healthcare company, and our focus is to empower healthcare for humanity. So we are very much focused on proposals around healthcare needs of people, whether it's the developed nations or the underdeveloped nations. Yeah. Okay. Our first, and just one more thing, Vincent, the first asset proposal we are focused on evaluating that the community will decide whether they like it or not is around the financing of consumer at-home clinical monitoring devices like the ones I mentioned, which would then be leased to consumers for tracking their health and wellness at-risk patients, basically.
Yeah. So it looks like a DOA which we've seen before, which is going to invest, and you have all kinds of systems who can in place. I don't know what the status is. We're going to talk about it, but I see that you have different roles for everybody who makes proposals, evaluates them, pays them, governs them, and is this built on some kind of another model which already exists, or in a different industry? Where did you get this thinking from that this will work? Because it's a complex proposal. It looks very interesting, looks very well thought out. I cannot evaluate it at this moment. But where did this come from, and is it working already somewhere else?
So there's a 7-person founding committee that got together in March and decided to spend their time and collected their thoughts, legal and blockchain and other DAOs. And we did a lot of reading. I'm one of the 7, so we did a lot of reading, studying, and of course we have at SolveCare certain skills in blockchain that we could bring to bear, as well as a big network of companies that we can call upon to say, can you do specialized development? So they took several months of intense effort. We looked at all the other models. We studied things like, Moloch and Colony and DAO Stack, to make sure that we were, in Aragon, those are the other DAO platforms we looked at. We studied other decentralized financing solutions, crowdfunding, and things like this. End of the day, the goal was to build something that's transparent, community governed, and applicable to healthcare, and is sustainable. My number one goal was it can't be something that just relies upon, market conditions to survive. It has to be fundamentally collateralized, fundamentally income generating, and fundamentally traceable. Otherwise, it's kind of a short-lived thing that may work while the bull market is raging in crypto world, and then it dies when the bear market hits. So we made it to be truly a sustainable model for decentralized finance. Again, the focus is on healthcare, but I would submit to you, you can copy our model and apply it to any industry, and it will work equally well. But for healthcare, I focused on transparency, sustainability, consistent returns, some kind of a risk floor, which allows us to pull the plug if things are going south without, protect the principal, basically, and have the appropriate control by the community. And the most important thing here is that there is need, right? We are hearing from hospitals in Nigeria who want to expand their, facility and add a cancer wing, or we are hearing from large clinical systems that want to, lease CT scans and MRI machines and are willing to collateralize. And they find this model to be very compelling because it's market competitive rates. Still, it's a community governed thing, so they can sell you on the merit, not just on the finances. So we can essentially say we can do good and we can do well, right? This is my vision. Why don't we finance worthy healthcare projects where there is enough ROI, but there's also a reason to finance those projects because they deserve to be financed. And if you find those things to come together, it works.
Who are the people who invest in this? Where will you find them?
So the Solve community is obviously the first population we are going to and saying, listen, you are committed to healthcare as a mission. You are holding Solve tokens because you believe in the transparency and the value that blockchain brings to healthcare. And SolveCare is certainly one of the leading projects, but there are others. And you are all involved in this ecosystem development for governance and delivery of healthcare. So why don't we give you the control over this community? You guys step up and the Solve token holder. So we created the model where if you have a Solve token, you can stake it, not sell it, not deposit it. Essentially do a staking against which you will get your governance token. It's free. There is no sale.
How big is that community at the moment? How much money is it, and how many people?
So the Definitize mining begins tomorrow. So tomorrow the governance token will be issued, which means people who have Solve tokens can stake those tokens and start becoming community citizens. Mm-hmm. Then the first governance meeting takes place where all the articles and the rules of behavior are adopted. And then with the first asset pool vote will take place, which will allow community to say, we want to fund this, we don't want to fund this, right?
But at the moment, the Solve, the people who have the coin, your coin, how many people are involved, and how many of those coins are around at the moment? And what's the monetary value at the moment of your financial base?
So SolveCare has about 20,000, maybe 22,000 token holders that we can't obviously see if there are any pooling or sharing going on. Sure. What we can see, what we can tell, there are just north of 350 million tokens in circulation right now. Although some big blocks of the token are currently held by private parties, which are not in circulation, but the possible circulation is a little bit north of 350. And the price of the token is around what it was at the ICO, 10 cents, give or take. So we are in the $35 to $40 million worth of market cap. But I think I want you to understand something. The contributions aren't in Solve token. You can contribute BTC or Ether or USDT. Okay. So the notion here is that you can contribute as much as you want to an asset pool. Typically, asset pools only take stable coins so that they can also be paid back in stable coins. We're not trying to create volatility in the pool. The first pool that we're looking at launching for devices, if the community approves it, will be about a $25 million pool just for devices. There is another pool being proposed by another distributor who wants to finance professional equipment. That'll be a bigger pool. So we are not limited by SolveCare's market cap. We're only engaging the Solve community as the vanguard of launching the DAO.
I understand. We have Yuli van Geest asked a question. You already named some DAOs in your previous statement, but which one would you say is successful? Is there already an example of something which really works?
I think from a framework perspective, when I studied most of the DAOs, I found them to have good ideas interspersed throughout, but they were all looking, I couldn't find one common trait that matters to me the most, which is the sustainability and the sustainable returns. Many of the DAOs are based upon sort of an immediacy of yield farming or trading against arbitrage and things like that. And those are great concepts. They're just not, in my mind, applicable to healthcare. So
No.
what we did with the healthcare DAO, I don't know of anybody. Okay, I have not found one, but that's okay because we feel that healthcare is an underserved market, and that makes it very attractive. In terms of persistent yield, where we can project, we can raise money, lend money, and create a persistent, transparent yield mechanism. Again, I haven't found a whole lot. What I did find, though, is the community voting models, the governance model, the incentive model for participation, the idea of earning reputation and decaying reputation if you don't do a good job as a citizen or as a governance committee member. Those concepts we adopted, right? Those absolutely exist. But when we think about applying those concepts in a very careful manner to healthcare, I think we are breaking new ground for sure.
Okay. I had one more question, and then we're going to wrap up. When is your coin going to be on any big exchange? You've talked about that for a while, but how's that going?
So in 2020, my focus was to get Solve linked to as many fiat pairs as we could, and we went after the fiat pairing, and there was a simple reason for that, and that reason has proven to be the right decision. What we want is Solve to be the de facto healthcare payment token globally. We want every physician on the planet to be aware of and be comfortable taking payments in Solve token from any patient on the planet, whether it's a pharmacist or a physician or whoever. And for me to achieve that comfort with a traditionally conservative care provider, we needed to make sure that Solve token is stable, Solve token is above any kind of a regulatory risk, and Solve token is linked to as many fiat currencies as we can, so they can see this as something they can easily liquidate in either direction, right? So we did that. So we brought Indian rupee and Vietnamese dong and euro and so on. That was the goal. So we focused on fiat pairing. Now, ironically, fiat pairing.
Where's the market? I mean, so I can basically buy and sell your coin for dollars and Vietnams, but where do you do that? Do you have your own exchange, or is that some other place?
So it's a great question. So we have all these exchanges which are capable of handling fiat, right? Because this is what I was trying to say, that fiat exchanges, the exchanges that accept fiat, Bittrex or VCC, these exchanges are regulated because they're touching fiat. They're not crypto to crypto exchanges. So they tend to be regional, they tend to be highly regulated, highly conservative, but they are the exchanges that do fiat, crypto, fiat, right? And those are not the majority of the exchanges, they're the minority. But we focused on those. So what that did, though, is it allowed us to go to the doctors and say, listen, when you take an appointment from a patient from Africa and you're a physician in the UK, you will get paid in Solve tokens, but you can look at our price performance, our liquidity, and our tradability, and you know that you're not buying into any high risk payment system. Once we got past that point, we realized that we need to now pivot back towards greater crypto liquidity. So my answer in short is this. 2020 was a year of fiat pairing. 2021 is a focus back on the large crypto platforms, because now we are looking to launch GTHE. We need patients to be able to buy tokens easily as well, not just doctors to redeem them. Therefore, crypto exchanges become important. So starting about a month ago, we put our focus back on the type of exchanges that were mentioned, and now that is on our radar to accomplish in the first half of 2021.
Okay, well, so people thought this was informative, yeah, and I think, I mean, what I really like about Solve is that it's You have been consistent for a while. You've been around. You have 100 people. You serve real customers, and you constantly are full of new ideas. So the international exchange, now the financing, you're always trying to break ground. You never sit still. You moved from the US to Ukraine, so you wanted to be close to the technical guys. I mean, one thing to be mentioned is that you used to be the CIO of, what was it, Blue Cross or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue Cross of North Dakota.
In which state was that?
North Dakota.
In
Yeah,
North Dakota, one of the most exciting places of the United States.
Not too bad at all.
Not too bad at all. And also, you were one of the people consultant with the healthcare system, the Affordable Act from Obama, right? I mean, that was also we covered that in other interviews. So anybody who's interested in Solve should take a look at the other interviews which are around, which is there. So another great idea. Good luck with the exchange on to launch it on December the 1st. Good luck also with the financing vehicle, and good luck with adapting to this new world where everybody's much more working from home, which is really interesting. I mean, really, it's a pain in the butt, and it's also really interesting. It should be good for your, because you're trying to make a digital infrastructure which is new, more efficient, more fluid, and you keep on working on that, and I can see that. Thanks very much, Pradeep, for this talk.
Thank you, Vincent. As always, a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and thanks, everyone.
Yeah, and thanks very much for all your questions.